Welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide podcast, where we discuss your favorite marble sports. We bring you in-depth analysis of each event across many different marble sports competitions. Catch all the information and drama you want to hear about your favorite players, teams, events, and more right here on the MSW podcast.
Everybody, welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide podcast. My name is. I'm super excited to bring you this episode today, and I have Commander Waff here already. Why don't you say hi?
Hey, it's great to be back. It looks like I might be coming back for quite a few episodes in the future.
Most likely. Yeah, we have him on co-hosting today, and I just want to quickly take a second and explain why. I did a guesting segment. I had Marbles for Autism, creator of Marbles for Autism, on as a guest for a segment, and we recorded that. The recording kind of got corrupted and got a little bit messed up, so we lost that. Now, we will hear from him in a later episode, but we weren't able to keep that for this one, so me and Commander Waff are ad-libbing this episode right here, so hopefully that goes well. I think it's going to go great, but he's kind of like a guest host today. But me and John Ball, creator of MFA, will be coming to you at some point. We had a good discussion. We talked a lot about his marble tournament, the World Marble Tournament. You can check that out on his channel, Marbles for Autism. And we talked a lot about Marble Olympics. So I'm excited to have him on as a guest. We just have to fix the audio problems. But in any event, I have a new mic, so I'm super excited about that. It's a lot more professional than what I was using before, so hopefully it's going to come through as better, clearer audio. And, all right, let's get started. I mean, Commander Waff, what do you have to say?
Just that these events have been, especially the dirt race, was absolutely insane. Like, there was so much, like, marbles everywhere, like, so many DNFs, like, people getting thrown off the track. This was some of the wildest marble racing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, definitely. And it's been the dirt race proved actually helpful for my fantasy team. The Hubolino Maze race proved very unhelpful for my fantasy team.
Yeah.
It's very up and down last couple of events. Actually, I want to refer back to last episode here real quick here and play a clip from last episode.
I'd have to pull that up because, to be honest, the Jungle Jumpers are so under my radar as a team to notice.
And here's another clip from last episode.
But really, guys, come on. I mean, tell me right now that you think I should know how the Jungle Jumpers are doing. I mean, really? I mean, they don't perform.
Right. So obviously, I ate my words a lot there because not only did the Jungle Jumpers come back with great performance in Event 8, what was Event 8?
Well, Event 8 was hurdles.
Hurdle. No.
Wait. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Man. Wow.
Wait.
But yeah.
The biathlon.
The biathlon.
That's right. They got first in the biathlon. That's right. Yeah.
They made me eat my words in the biathlon. Definitely. Not only that, but then I came back and I picked them for my fantasy team in the next round, and they had at least given me a good performance in Event 11. So I mean, I'm a little humbled by how we treated them last episode, but definitely they came back and showed us that they're not.
They did get fifth and 11th as well. And I will give them credit too. They are showing signs of improvement. Unlike before, they are not just doing one good event; they are doing a few good events now.
Yeah, first and a fifth in the last 4 events. So definitely,
and they've had multiple medals now, and so that's a definite improvement.
Definitely. And
I still stand by what I said about old Jungle Jumpers. New Jungle Jumpers, they can prove me wrong, and I've been wanting them to prove me wrong for the past, I think, 1 year and a half now. So honestly, I have no complaints about this.
Oh, that's right. You're a Jungle Jumpers fan, so you must be ecstatic.
I really wanted to root for them, but then they just did so bad that first year, and then they didn't qualify. It's like, okay, there's no point in ever rooting for them. But now it's like, hey, I might have I can probably start rooting for them again, and it's like,
I would agree. This is probably a great moment for you.
Yeah. Also, in these more recent events, like they actually had some more closer shots of the B1 section. So my marble actually showed up several times. So I got lucky.
Yeah, you're lucky. You also paid money for that, so I hope it shows up.
It's
It's a good point. But you mean it's just already great that you're supporting the Marble Olympics like that and getting the VIP seat. That's awesome to hear.
I like showing some support for this because this is it's a nice fun thing, and it's, if I can do whatever I can to help keep it going, I'll do it.
Absolutely. I'm sorry if there's a little noise there for last minute. I was just adjusting my mic, but I'm very excited about it. I hope the Jungle Jumpers perform well. I put some stake in them. We might go back to other teams in the next fantasy. Just depends on how event 12 goes, which occurs tomorrow. So you guys should probably go check out event 12. It's probably out when you guys are listening.
Since we're talking about fantasy teams, I should probably mention that I joined it too. So I picked the Crazy Cat's Eyes, the Green Ducks, Rangers, and Raspberry Racers. So
that's right. Yeah, you did join fantasy. Very
so
cool.
Those placements only apply for event 8 onwards. So let's see here. So Rangers and Raspberry Racers did good for event 8. 9, it was Rangers again, and then. But the Green Ducks was kind of in the top. It was literally at 8th at the middle, and then in Dirt Race, 2 of my picks got DNFs in the first heat, and but then the Racers and the Ducks got second and third. So I think that should balance it out.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, to be honest, for me, solid picks. Green Ducks, like you picked, Crazy Cat's Eyes, and Raspberry Racers to me are all very solid picks. So you really came out. Even though you came in late, you came out with strong picks. You're probably not going to finish last because
you know what? I didn't realize. I'm sorry, I was talking over you, but I'm realizing now, my picks actually were pretty high. So even though I got only half of them won, that I've never done a fantasy league, so I don't know how points are going to go. And how's the money calculated for these teams? Is it based on their placement from last year?
Last year stuff.
That explains it.
Not all of it makes total sense for it to be this year, so definitely last year, because the money, actually the Midnight Wisps has done quite well lately, which is another discussion point, but in the beginning of this 2019, they did kind of bad, so they have the highest cost because they got first place last year.
That makes sense. I can see that, but I feel like maybe the prices.
Fair.
I don't know if the prices should maybe the price should fluctuate as the
Oceanics have a higher price than other teams. That's just
that's what really confused me. I was like,
because last year and they came through a little bit.
So you had a bit of a framework you wanted to go through. So let's try and stay on that this time, so we don't go over like we did last time.
Wait. Let me make a couple more announcements, guys, real quick. If I didn't mention last time, the YouTube is out. So go check that out, Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast. You have to search the full name. We might change that, but you can get the YouTube and the full podcast there if that's an easier listening experience. Another shout-out, a first shout-out I want to make here is to the Fortnite Champions Podcast, not because of Fortnite, but because they recognized and shouted out Marble Olympics as a favorite thing on YouTube, as they said. So definitely episode 67, minute 53, if you want to hear more people newly excited about the Marble Olympics. They do have, they spent a few minutes on it. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Also going to shout out Marbles for Autism. Like I said, we couldn't have him on this week, but he will be coming on later, and definitely want to shout out his Marble Olympic style tournament he's doing, the World Marble Tournament. He's doing a great job. He's got creative professional events coming up. He has the hockey event coming up next, and it's just very cool to see other people producing good content like that. We're going to talk about community content a little bit later. I bought some merch. That's another announcement, I guess. I bought the hoodie and the shirt from Marble Olympics. I'm very excited about that. I have the shirt already, and it is actually well-made material. I got to give a little shout-out to JMR there. They did a good job with the shirt, and I'm waiting on the hoodie, but I'm definitely go buy the merch. It's good quality, and it's very, very sporty, and I highly recommend that. Fantasy teams update. I think we already covered a lot about the fantasy teams. My picks, like I said, Jungle Jumpers, Raspberry Racers, Green Ducks, and Crazy Cat's Eyes have all performed decently well in Event 11. Actually pretty bad in Event 10, but they've been keeping up overall with good performances. I would say besides those 4 teams, O'Rangers, Savage Speeders, and Hazers are also good picks. Mellow Yellow can be a good pick sometimes. And Pinkies have surged back, so definitely keep an eye on them.
They have, yeah.
Yeah. And with all that being said, let's go to the news.
Hey, what's going on? It's Brendan. Sorry to come in right before the news, but I do have a quick announcement. Unfortunately, due to timing, John Wood is not able to make it as our host this week, but we do have our amazing backup host, Mr. Johnny Marble, coming at us today. Different accent, great voice, same great news, right here on the MSW podcast.
Hello, Marble sports fans! I am Johnny Marble, filling in for John Wood in this installment of the Marble Sports Worldwide News. This week in the Marble Olympics brought us 3 more events: the hurdles, the Javelino maze, and the dirt race. Highlights from the hurdles are almost solely focused on the Midnight Wisps, with Wuspy setting the newest record, 8.552 seconds, which allowed them to take the gold. The Raspberry Racers continued their impressive performance overall by taking silver, and the Hazers rounded it out taking third. Event 10, the Javelino Maze, brought an element of confusion with the tricky paths and dead ends of the maze. It also jumbled up the standings quite a bit, with the Oceanics and the Pinkies finally producing their first top 5 finish of the 2019 games. The Oceanics, however, just missed the podium, coming in at 4th, and the Pinkies took the silver back home. The Savage Speeders and the Hazers continued their search from the middle of the pack, taking the bronze and gold medal. The dirt race, Event 11, surprised the fans even more with 7 DNFs in the final standings of the event. The Pinkies, however, capitalized on the momentum from the previous event and went on to take the gold. The Green Ducks and Raspberry Racers met expectations, taking silver and bronze respectively. And the Oceanics maintained top half of the standings with 7th as well. Many hope to see a turnaround for both of these veteran teams, the Oceanics and the Pinkies that is, and excitement continues to rise going into the last 4th of these Marble Olympics, with the possibility of a comeback from either of these teams on everyone's minds. In the general standings, the Raspberry Racers hold first with 143 points, with the Green Ducks only 4 points back in second, and the Hazers now only 7 points out of first place in third. 20 crucial points provided a solid gap between 3rd and 4th, while the Savage Speeders only having 116 points. Mellow Yellow and the Crazy Cat's Eyes round out the top 6 with 105 and 100 points respectively. The Oceanics, however, still hold dead last with 56 points, but the Pinkies jumped up 3 places to 13th with 71 points now. Coming up next is event number 12, rafting, and fantasy team pickings are open for round 5, right after event 12. In other Marble news, Marble Fubeca wrapped up the American Cup for Marble Sports and have begun a series of Europe versus America tournaments. MSPN has released a sneak peek picture regarding their next Marblementary about comebacks, and the Marble World Tournament for Marbles by Autism rages on into its 4th event, hockey. Well, I'm Johnny Marble, and that's all for this week's news. Now back to Brendan with the MSW podcast. Brendan.
All right, and we are back from the news. Thank you to John Wood for doing a great job recording that this week. He's just been a great blessing to the podcast with his recording abilities, and I hope you guys have liked his news segments. But to move on here with the podcast, let's talk some marbles. Commander, what do you want to start with?
Oh boy! All right, so I think the one thing that is on my mind and probably most of the Marvel fans' minds is the most recent event, the Dirt Race. Wow, that was ridiculous. I did not expect so many DNFs, especially right out the gate. Like two of I think I probably mentioned it earlier. But in the very first heat, it's like I had the Green Ducks, Balls of Chaos. All four of my picks were in the first heat, and two of them got eliminated by DNFs.
Right.
I didn't see that coming at
No,
all.
I didn't either. I was very, very surprised when I looked at the standings at the end of that event.
Oh
and
my word!
Places 10 to 16 were DNF 1 through 7. I was in
Oh
disbelief.
my gosh!
That was incredible.
Oh, that was so crazy. That was probably one of the most exciting events I have ever seen in Marvel. Nearly half of the entire roster didn't finish. Just Balls of Chaos barely got out of that.
Oh, but absolutely. I mean,
and then three of the top 8 got DNFs in the second in the semifinals.
Yeah.
Or it was the finals. Oh my gosh! Now on the one hand, I love that. That was that made it very tense and one of the criticisms I have of the Santa Marble Rally is generally once the marbles have a certain placement, they at the start it's generally consistent. There were marbles that would break that rule. Red number 3 is the best example. I think one of his most famous events.
Red number 3 is not marble.
Right, the keychain. He went from the very back and then he made it all the way to the front and that was the event that he won to win that season. And so. Sometimes there could be places where they could get rid of that consistency, but with the dirt race here, at no point did I actually know who was going to win because that's so slow at certain points. It's at any moment a marble could come up out of nowhere who we thought got out of the race, or a marble who we think is winning goes flying off the track, and then someone else behind them gets the time to catch up and win. And it just got me so into the race in a way that I don't think I've been for most marble races in a long time.
100%. I mean, case in point to what you just said. First, there's only one heat of the finals, but finals race, those 8 marbles, you had Pinkies back from 6th or 5th place, and you had 3 marbles, Savage Speeders, Green Ducks, Raspberry Racers up in that top 3. Pinkies shoot up there in the last 10 seconds of the race, past all the 3 marbles who are in complete disbelief, and take first place, take their first gold in that last 10 seconds. They were not even in the screen before they shot up there. And Greg Woods, I think, absolutely lost it when that happened. But it was...
Did you see the Raspberry Racers? That splits the 500ths of a second. They barely beat the Savage Speeders.
And that was another point. That was great point, because I was watching and I was watching, and I'm thinking about my fantasy teams, and I was watching and I saw the Pinkies come up and I was like, oh wow, oh man, because I thought it was going to be Green Ducks, Savage Speeders, Raspberry Racers, and I actually thought it ended that way because I looking at the different marbles, and then all of a sudden I see it show up the other way. I'm like, what? And I saw literally in the last half of a second, this Raspberry Racers edge out the Savage Speeders, and over a big distance too. I mean, the interesting part about the dirt race for me is that the terrain is so unpredictable and different in literally every square inch of the track. You're going to have points where a marble is even an inch from the end of the track. You're going to hit a bump. You're going to hit a certain part of the track. Then another marble can hit a different bump, and the speed changes are very noticeable. And all of a sudden, marbles like that change places over long distances in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, for me, this is easily my favorite event of this season of Marble Olympics, and probably all of Zhell's videos, I think, hands down. Now, there is something I'd like to point out, though. The level of chaos there, while it was definitely a breath of fresh air for this one time, if that is a consistency that happens in the future, that might get a bit annoying because then like if I feel like teams are getting cheated out of victories because the track was so easy to come off of. So like definitely, like, I definitely like for events like this, but maybe don't do it like very often. Like maybe like throw in there like maybe every like 5 or so events, or maybe like only one event like that a season, like just to get a more exciting event that gets the blood pumping and stuff like that, and gets the fans into it. But don't make it a consistent thing where teams are like constantly losing because of the track's own failures.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there were a couple negatives for me in this event, probably for other fans as well. One being it was very hard to keep track of the teams and the marbles on the race. I think even Greg Woods had a little difficulty because the marbles were blended in a little bit with the surroundings. They were bouncing around all the time. I mean, it was a little bit disorganized out there. Now, did that create a more exciting and unpredictable event? Yes. Does that make it a little bit difficult to see? Absolutely. You need to have events like the sprint where it's bright red, bold track, everything's divided and everything, because there brings some order, brings something more to each individual marble's skill. But while I enjoyed the chaos, it did make it hard to watch at some points. There were also a little bit of a problem, though I don't know what they were exactly going for with this event, but I mean, one time the Savage Speeders went off the track past the supposed barriers. I don't even know if they really put any barriers.
Yeah, it was 459.
More logs on the track than on the side, but they went outside of the barriers and then came right back in, almost like that was an easier way to go than the track itself. So
no, like that, like at 459, like they go off the track, then they start slowing down. They're about to get caught up on it, and then like I think it was the Indigo Stars, I think, or who like who bumped the log and give them a little bit of extra momentum, and then they kind of slide off of it. And I've never been a fan of Savage Speeders, but I gotta admit that is an impressive comeback from them. Like just like they pick up so much momentum, and they almost get past the Raspberry Racers. Like that was an intense moment. I've never really rooted for them, but I gotta give it to them there. That was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, I give a lot of credit to the Savage Speeders overall as a skilled team. I will not sit here and say they're a bad team. They
absolutely not.
My favorite team, but they do good work. They obviously practice. Every situation, or most situations, way more than other teams, way more than the Oceanics by thousands, do they use each difficulty or advantage and use it to get more momentum. I see that in the funnel spin. We saw that, how they would use other marbles momentum similar to the Green Ducks to continue to spin more and get more stamina. We saw that a little bit in the relay race. I know they underperformed in that for most people's liking. They actually had one of the lowest performances then. But I know that I saw certain points where they definitely were using each other in the blocks to get more momentum. And how they can consistently keep placing most of the time, top half, top 6, is because they use each advantage given to them. They never miss a moment to gain the momentum when they can. And that's, even though Savage Speeders aren't my favorite team, that is an impressive point for me. I won't disregard that just because I like more teams better.
Also, I'd like to point out that Oceanics are once again at the bottom.
Oh, man.
And it's not tied. It's not a tie anymore. They are undisputedly at the bottom.
And they are so far at the bottom that their fourth place finish did not even help at all.
No,
I mean, they have work to do. 56 points.
Yeah.
I mean, the top is 143. They are nearing 100 points away from first place, which is very, very not good.
Yeah. Next event is rafting. It's the first water event that we actually, so they might finally get to use their home field advantage here. And so we might see them bump up. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
It's just going to be to me, a super unpredictable event. I am so very not. I have no predictions for you. I don't. Do I think the Oceanics will do better? I don't even know, to be honest. They were terrible in the underwater race, so I don't even know what to tell you. Do I think the Green Ducks will perform? Yes. They perform well in those kinds of events that are water-based, but not necessarily submerged in water, but I think they're gonna perform well in that. Savage Speeders will perform well because they are the adapting to new situations kings. They can do that really well. I'm gonna give you between a 9th and a 6th place on them. I don't think they're gonna get top 5, but I think they're gonna do decent. Raspberry Racers will probably maintain a top 6 there. Mellow Yellow is going to do well in that event. Because Mellow Yellow to me, and as you saw, if you could, actually, I'll do this. I'm not going to make you do something that I can do. Talking about, the Hubalino Maze Race, which we're going to get into.
Oh, yeah.
Mellow Yellow did better they got 7th in the Hubalino Maze Race, and which is usually better than they perform, or at least good enough. I noticed that in events that are odd, like the mazes and, ones that kind of stray from the normal, like sprints and funnel spin and things like that, they perform well, and they did well in the balancing, which was kind of a unique, even though it was long-standing, it was a unique event. I think they're going to do well in the rafting because it's a unique event. But those are only predictions. I really don't know where the rafting is going to go. I mean, do you have thoughts on the teams there, Commander Waff? Like I said, I'm not really 100% sure.
I think Raspberry Racers, while they haven't placed the gold, they haven't actually made a gold medal in any of the Marble Olympics yet. They have performed so consistently that honestly, I think that the Green Ducks and them have both been performing really well. But I think Raspberry Racers' 1 year of extra experience is probably what's going to get them that gold medal. I really would like to see the Jungle Jumpers prove me wrong and really do good. And I'm somewhat partial to the Rangers just a little bit, but I'm really trying to grow on the Raspberry Racers here. They are showing some consistency, and I at least would like to see them get 1 gold medal.
That's a good point. I mean, they're in first place right now, and they don't have a gold medal. The Pinkies have a gold medal.
There are 3 veterans.
Not even close to first place. I mean, to me, it's insane what's going on. I mean, it shows that consistency wins the day, not random spikes of victory, which is a total other discussion. I mean, that brings out a lot of teams like the Rangers and the Savage Speeders when you talk about the consistency versus victory spikes. Way to go. Midnight Wisps won with victory spikes the year before. I'm telling you that. But, I mean, it is a interesting thing that the Raspberry Racers don't have a gold. I think they could get one this year, though you're right. They might need that extra year of practice to really start banging those golds out. I think they will perform as well in this event, too. I'd say if you're making fantasy picks, this one will already fall under your previous ones. Yeah. Raspberry Racers probably was a good pick.
Yeah. And, I'm looking at, you sent me a lot of pictures, so there's a chart thing that you probably sent from, I'm assuming, the Marble base or whatever. It had, a point chart that, lists all the medals that the teams have won and, their placements.
No, that was an amazing Reddit poster who had those pictures. So shout out to whoever, if you were listening to this podcast, thank you for making those Marble graphs. Those were amazing. If you're out there right now, take a second and leave a comment, leave a like for me. I just want to know who was that. That was so helpful. You're an awesome human being.
So how does the point values determine? Is there 3 points for every gold and stuff like that? Is that how because the point? I'm trying to figure out how the point values are calculated here.
I'm studying the graph here real quick. I believe this first one's a placement graph and the second one's a point graph. So the first one where the lines look all over and it looks like a very bad heartbeat. That looks like its placements. So, for example, if you look at the first thing, Savage Speeders have a bar straight at the top because they had the first 2 golds and 2 golds in a row. That's why they have their bar at 1. And then Oceanics, their bar is very close to the bottom and touches last place a lot because that's where they held. These are overall standings over 2019. So Savage Speeders were in first up until event 5. He didn't label the x-axis numbers, but do you understand? It's kind of mapping the general standings over each event.
Right. I think I misread. I said graph. I meant to say the chart, the chart of all of the teams, listed out with how many gold medals they've won and something like that. That was the one I was talking about.
Oh, you're talking about the different one. Oh, whoever made that graph too, the one that has the the placements over all the years, that person should like and comment because they're amazing too. I mean, there were a bunch of really cool graphs here. You have that one that does all the years, and when you like, are you talking about the one with the Savage Speeders? 541 points.
Yes, that one.
That one's the overall. Actually, I'm going to post.
Oh, is that their overall points from like all the events added together?
Yeah.
Oh,
their whole life.
Oh, so like I'm just looking at that. Like the Savage Speeders, like for analogy, are basically like the Blue Devils of the DCI marching bands.
It's a football that put that in perspective as well. Blue Devils of
Oh yeah, the drum corps marching band. Like they are they're like one of the top bands, and like every single year.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and they perform well every year, and like, everybody's like, "Oh, it's the Blue Devils." Like and people hate them, but like you gotta admit, they're the best of the best, and they're usually, and they win most of the time for a dang good reason. And the Savage Speeders are essentially the same way. People get like kind of get on the hate train, like it's like, oh, it's the Savage Speeders, and like they perform at the top. They've had the most total.
Good.
They have the highest number of points. They've had the most gold medals, and they have the highest total medals out of everybody. They've earned their spot, no question.
I do want to quickly take a moment here and mention that I will be posting these graphs in the Discord. So if you're not already in the MSW podcast Discord, you can find it on the recent post on the Twitter. And there will be all the graphs and future links that I discuss on the podcast. So if you're confused as to the graphs I'm talking about, either search the whole Reddit and the millions of posts there under Marble Olympics to find them, or you can go to the Discord. But you're right. Great job with the graphs. Savage Speeders, I was about to jump into them quickly as well. They are incredible even compared to the second place team. I did not even realize until I saw this graph how good they were. Their overall placement was first in 2016, second in 2017, second in 2018, yet to see in 2019, but I think they're at least getting top six.
Yeah, they're in fourth right now.
Are tearing it up. They're like unbelievable. The Rangers in a close second, but not that close. Fifth in 2016, first in 2017, fourth in 2018, yet to see in 2019. They are, compared to 1-2-2, the 5-1-4 is quite a bit lower. I mean, it's been just incredible. It was a great realization. I mean, 541 overall points for the Savage Speeders, 478 overall for the Rangers over their lifetime. That's a big difference. That's like a 60-point difference. All the other ones are way closer if you run down all these teams, even the ones that didn't even make it into every single year of Marble Olympics. They're like there's no other 60-point margin, I don't think.
This is like updated for like the medals of the current season, right, as well?
Right, a little bit maybe.
Okay, I just want to see how relevant it was to the current season.
It at least covers through 2018. I'm not going to do all the calculations, but it's a very nice graph.
It also, I think it's up to at least past the qualifier because it doesn't have did not qualify for this season. So.
Yeah. At least it's past the qualifiers because Momo didn't qualify. Unfortunately, Lammers did not qualify.
Yeah.
Actually, some interesting things I noticed is Oceanics have been a part of every Marble Olympics. Pinkies have been a part of every Marble Olympics and continue to be incredibly terrible. They
flip flop.
What?
Like they flip flop. Like they went from the last to the middle to last again. It's like,
right, exactly. They've been jumping around.
More than the Jungle Jumpers. That's weird.
That's funny. The Jungle Jumpers actually have only participated in one Marble Olympics and got 15. So actually, they've been quite good for a team that hasn't really been a part of that many Marble Olympics.
For this season, yeah.
Yes. Pinkies have had the lowest amount of points by far compared to all the teams that have participated in every Marble Olympics, 2016 through 2018. And actually, Momo, who's not even in 2019, has more points than the Pinkies, who are in 2019. So It says something to how they've been performing. They've been squeaking by and doing nothing of note in the Marble Olympics main events themselves.
And a lot of that is like if you look at the reason, like Momo had that fourth place in the first Marble Olympics, and they unfortunately had like a steady downturn in terms of placing. But that fourth place, like that one good year of really great performance is why they're still high up there. And I'm still hoping that one day they can come back from their I think basically they're still in that funk from Team Momo or from Momo's injury or Momo. There's always that extra Mo.
Yeah. That's always funny for me too. But yeah, definitely. And they, I don't know what to say about the Pinkies. I mean, we always get on the Oceanics at this point, but the Pinkies, I mean, they really have been underperforming. I'm hoping that they place higher this year, but I don't know where I'm at with the Pinkies. I'm gonna have to see another good performance until I can start to be like, maybe we're going somewhere.
They're also the only other veteran team who is currently qualified for this season that hasn't got a gold medal. So this could be their year to get one as well.
They did get a gold medal.
Oh, did they? So that means the chart has not been updated for this current standings then. So,
yep, that's true because they got one in the dirt race. Very good performance from them.
Yeah. So the chart is not. That chart was probably for the previous event, I would say, or at least two events ago. So the event 10 for the Jubilino maze, but definitely not for the dirt race.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing that did surprise me, by the way, was the Mellow Yellow. Mellow Yellow defines a veteran team after looking at this graph. They actually placed second in 2016 and third in 2017. So I always saw them as an underperforming team, but they actually did quite well in the first 2 years of Marble Olympics. They did really bad in 2018, getting a solid 15th.
Yeah, they were, and that's a very big difference from their first 2 years. Second and third, that's a huge difference.
That marks a veteran team, though. Good performances, has a bad year.
Right.
Not doing bad at all this year. I would say they're a middle of the pack to higher middle pack team, hanging around 6. I think the 6 is a possible place for them to finish. They have had a gold this year, I think. And that, but I believe they at least medaled a couple.
Yes, they medaled. It was for, I believe. Let's see. Mellow Yellow. They got. Which one was it? It was not a recent event. It was I'm looking at the results you sent me, and they are not. It's not one of the recent ones. It was from the previous, from one of the earlier events.
Right.
Which one? Dang! I'm surprised by that. Their place and just kind of passed me by. They didn't really register them.
Yeah, they're always overlooked. I got to be honest. They are
one of the most overlooked teams, but they're a veteran that really has performed well.
Yeah, to Mellow Yellow fans out there, yeah, keep it mellow. I mean, they're not bad. I mean,
no, absolutely not.
I'd take second and third as a Marble Olympic seed any day. I mean, to me, they're looking a lot like Hazers and stuff, like teams that we haven't seen develop as into veterans yet, but teams that are showing similar type traits. Starting out, coming in as rookies, amazing. Second is an amazing place to get. I think that's the projection right now for me in the Green Ducks. I think they're going to end in second. I wanted them to be first. I think they're ending definitely in second this year. And they're exactly ending up like Mellow Yellow. I think they're going to perform well next year already. I'm projecting that. But I mean, that's what you see from a good team. Green people are amazed by the Green Ducks' performance, but when the Mellow Yellow came in the first Marble Olympics, they're performing the same type of thing. Second, third, that's great.
Yeah, I found out it was a 5-meter sprint. That was what they placed first in.
Oh, that's pretty impressive because they're not usually sprinters, and they performed in something they're usually low performing in. So, keep it mellow out there, all you Mellow Yellow fans. I notice you guys,
There's another thing that people talk about how the the host teams are apparently not able to do better than the Snowballs did, just because it's too much pressure. I think that's a misconception. Just because you're a host team, it does not mean that you're unable to overcome the pressure. It's definitely a factor that maybe it will affect either your how good or how bad you do, but to say that they are incapable of doing good simply because they are a host team, I think is just a huge misconception. It's just a bunch of like a bunch of what's the word it's a superstition.
Yeah, that works as a word. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. If I can jump in here really quick on that topic, because we had a write-in from Killian Bladestar or Flair. If you're out there, I don't know your real name, I'm very sorry, but it was great to see that you wrote in. And you guys can write in, all of you guys can write in with your ideas and thoughts at the MSW Podcast email, mswpodcast@gmail.com. Message us on the Twitter at Guy Marble, that's GUYY Marble. And, of course, Instagram, Discord, wherever you want to, you can write in. And here's an example, not an example, but an actual write-in from Killian Bladestar. Thank you for writing in. And I'm just going to read this out. Here's my take on host teams. I believe they will not go higher than Snowball's 7th place performance. There is just too much pressure for them to handle. They are put into very high expectations by fans and will be scrutinized heavily on every performance. I believe that is what is happening to the Oceanics. I think they cannot handle this much attention. That's why they are performing badly. What is your take on host teams? I don't necessarily agree that like Commander Waff just said, thank you for saying this, that just because the fact that they are a host team is the reason they're not performing. Do I think it's an odd coincidence? Yes. Do we have enough Marble Olympics to make a judgment call on that? No. And while it would make sense since the Oceanics have performed high, and now the only thing that's changed between this year and last year, especially since a lot of the events are similar, is the fact that they're hosts now. Yes, it's coincidentally reasonable to say that, but I don't think so. The Snowballs, I mean, I don't even want to I hate to say 7th, because 7th sounds middle of the pack, like they were not performing well. They ran at 4th place, even top 3, through at least half of the 2018 Marble Olympics, and they were very competitive. Snowballs fans were very happy with the way they were performing. Even though they didn't win, but they put forth an amazing effort. I think they even might have golded in a couple of those events. I can't quite remember.
Snowball's only got 1 gold. It's only 1 gold total.
We have 1 gold, and I think they bronzed in wait, I don't know why I'm thinking. We'll just look. Well, they got 14th in the first Marble Olympics, which means their gold probably didn't come from there. So
no, definitely not.
From their 7th in the 2018, and maybe even both of their bronze medals came from the 2018 as well. They did perform. They put forth a good effort. Oceanics have not even podiumed once and are not looking like they're going to. They had the 1/4, but like Greg Wood said, in disappointment, they just missed the podium yet again.
Yeah, and I love this chart. This really just puts everything into perspective. Like the Oceanics, they got 10th and 11th in their first 2 years. Then they got 3rd. So their low placement here is not suddenly it's because they're a host team. This is actually normal for them overall.
Absolutely,
they did have that 1 good year, but ultimately that's just an outlier. It's not their actual probably current skill level. They did good that 1 year, and then things went downhill. And it's not that they're doing bad because they're a host team. I think that's just their general performance level. And with the Snowballs as well, they got 14th the first year, didn't qualify for 2017, and then got 7th. They did better in the year they were hosting. So the idea that hosting makes things harder is just ludicrous. But then they didn't qualify again for 2019. So I think hosting is completely a non-factor here. I think that these marbles ultimately do not care as much, I think, about hosting status.
Yeah, I mean, Snowballs, like you just said, performed their best in the year that they hosted. I mean, while we can't discredit the pressure put on by the increase in fans and the fact that you own the stadium and hosting the Marble Olympics, you can't discredit the pressure. There's a lot of pressure. So I'm going to say that there is an effect, but I'm not going to say that's the reason. And I don't want that to start to become a superstition over many Marble Olympics, because when the Savage Speeders hosts, I mean, like, I don't think they're all of a sudden they're going to get 16th place now. They're not.
No.
That's not in their nature. Just
No, not at all.
hosting. And I think, especially speaking to your point, Mr. Waff, great observation. I mean, like, Oceanics did 10th and 11th the first couple of years they played, which are very close to where they're probably going to end up now. I project them at the end to be anywhere between 10th and 13th. I don't think they're going to get the last three, but they could even. But I think they're going to be between 10th and 13th. And that is lining up with 2 years of their normal performance. Their third was a good push from them, not necessarily their norm. And you can't say it's because of their hosting. There is pressure on them, but I don't think their performance is solely because of that. Now, there's arguments either way, but I disagree. But thank you for the write-in, definitely, Killian Bladestar. That was
definitely
nice
appreciate
to hear
it
from our fans.
Maybe we should move on to the other event, the Jubilino Maze Race. That was, from what I can tell, a controversial one.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Before we move on to that event, because I definitely do want to talk about it, it was controversial in the acceptance by the viewers as well as the actual performance in the event. I do want to highlight another thing on the Oceanics, because this goes very related to what we just talked about. And so there is this article, very well-made article, good little background picture and stuff. It was actually really nice. It was posted on the Reddit by someone who wanted to analyze the fixes the Oceanics need to make in order to perform better. And I can't read this whole article out to you. It would take me like 5 full minutes, but I suggest you go read it. He goes through predictions that were made. He goes through how it was a disaster for them. But the things I want to highlight here and discuss before we move on to the Jubilino Maze Race are the 3 fixes he proposed. And I hate to say it, if you're listening here, Mr. whatever, I forget your name, written by Firing Blind. So Mr. Firing Blind, if you're listening to the podcast, please comment and like so I know who you are. I would love to speak with you a little bit more about this article. It was a very well-written article. But his fixes, to me, are a little bit confusing to me and not correct, in my opinion. And not necessarily that they're wrong, because I'm not saying I know all the things about Marble Olympics here, but I'll read them out to you, and you guys can ponder these on your own as well. So his fixes for the Oceanics in order to perform better were, first of all, fire Coach Tide. It's just not working. I've already told you the story. The Oceanics have looked worse this Marble Olympics than they ever have before. They need a new coach not only to motivate them, but to create a new atmosphere. A new coach could and probably will revive the Oceanics atmosphere, giving them new hope. We'll address this in a minute. His second thing, which he numbered all 3 of them 1, but it's kind of funny more than it is bad. His second thing he said, take Bay out of the roster. Bay has potential, possibly unseen potential. I say this because we haven't seen him as much in the time during 2017 and 2019.
That's true.
I just don't think he's ready for this big stage and this big moment, especially on a team where stars like C and Aqua, well, I'm not seeing them star either, haven't shown up. Oh, well, he just said that. Move him down to the Sand Marble Rally. Implying the Sand Marble Rally is worse than the Marble Olympics. Or simply keep training him because he couldn't be massive down the line for the Oceanics. So very kindly saying that Bay is awful and should be taken away. Also knocking the Sand Marble Rally there. But you know what? I'm not saying he shouldn't have done that. It was funny. Replace Shore and Ocean. It is clear, that was his third thing, replace Shore and Ocean. It's clear that Shore and Ocean are past their prime. While they have helped the Oceanics tremendously in team events, neither have scored a single point in their 11 combined of individual events. Wow, good research there. Oceanics need some more muscle when it comes to individual capabilities, because being strong individually can help the team even be stronger together. Now, definitely form some thoughts on that, Mr. Woff, because I do want to quickly jump in back to the first one. Fire Coach Tide is definitely not a fix to be made. Absolutely 100% not your answer. Your coach is not the Oceanics problem. Your coach led the Oceanics from a 10th and 11th place team to a 3rd place team.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, it's only his second year. Like, there's no way that you can judge their worth just by 2 years, especially since the 1 year that they joined in was when the Oceanics actually did good.
Exactly, absolutely. And I think the coach Tide right now is scratching his glass. That was a good little. I debated saying that in my head. I don't know. Scratching his head. I couldn't just flow that through. Does that make sense?
I got
How
you.
are we talking about marbles now? Scratching his glass? Sorry. But Coach Tide is not the problem. Coach Tide is working hard. And Coach Tide is I mean, if he can come in and fix some Oceanics team and lead them to a 3rd place victory or train them to a 3rd place victory in the 2018 Marble Olympics, it wouldn't even make sense to imply that he's the reason for the 16th place team this year. I mean, 3rd to 16 is a huge gap. There are always going to be a bigger problem than the coach that would cause that. The only thing that I might agree with is replace Shore and Ocean, but not immediately, after more scrutiny of their skills, maybe another year, because then it would be a little bit more correct as to, the difficulty, the actual problems here. But replacing Coach Tide is not your answer. You're not looking at, that's not a marble that's affecting the performance really that much. He's just training them.
So I'm looking at that now. I think I misunderstood who Tide was. Like, Tide actually wasn't the coach for last year. He was the reserve member that replaced Bay. He's only a coach this year, and Bay came back. So Tide was a part of the team when they were doing good. So, like, there's maybe a small argument to say that maybe Tide should just be someone who performs with the team and not the coach. But again, it's still only been 2 years. I don't think that's enough to really judge his worth just yet.
Well, that's a good point, and thanks for actually doing a little bit more research on that, because I implied that he was the last year's coach, so sorry for not knowing that. But even taking that information, I mean, you would be saying to me, especially as your number one fix being replaced Coach Tide, that you would be saying that moving Tide from a reserve, when he wasn't really doing anything, to a coach, someone who just trains the marbles, is the reason from a 3rd place jump to a 16th place jump, or probably a 13th is my best guess by the end of it. It's not likely. It's not even, like, in very, very small amount of cases is that going to be the reason you drop 10 places. And it's not a number one fix. If your organization wants to do it, if the Oceanics organization decides that's our move, that'd be their move. I don't think it's their move they need to make.
This is the first year that we've had coaches. Like, none of the teams have had coaches until now. So this is a new experience for everybody.
Right. I mean, we saw 2 bad performances from them before coaches were even here in 2016 and 2017. So you explain that to me, and then talk to me about taking the coach out. Commander Wolf, why don't you give your thoughts on number 2? Take Bay out of the roster, the reserve.
To be frank, because of how poorly the Oceanics have been performing, I haven't really paid attention to each individual member's performance over the course. So far, I do not, as far as I can tell, Bay has not done any solo events. He's only performed in team events. And so I can't say for certain, like, how well and how much they affected each event placement per se. Like, there were some events where you need the top 3 marbles to win, and so maybe there were some instances where Bay actually cost a team the victory, but it's kind of hard to tell which marbles which. Because to be completely frank here, even though a lot of these marbles have names, none of us actually, as far as I'm aware, can actually identify which marble on the team is who. I'm pretty sure there's no and because of that, and because there's no actual indication of who is Bay and who is who is Shore, and so that we can't actually say with absolute certainty in team events who cost who the event.
Exactly. And okay, so 2 obvious points that come from what Commander Waff just brought us there. First off, the JMR needs to make a change and label these marbles. At this point, if you're having consistent team members up to 4 years, I need to know who's competing each of them. At least you can put a name. It might be hard, but maybe even mark them with the first letter of their name so that I can kind of know where I'm at here. I mean, it really has gotten a little bit, it's been a little bit bothering over all the years. I've really not really thought about it too much, but, I mean, the more the Marble Olympics improves and becomes a bigger thing, the more I want to be able to know who's competing. Now, I know they put it in the little standings on the beginning, but what about when it's a team thing? Or what about when it's what about when you just want to know during a race who is competing from each team? Another thing from what he just said. Obviously, again, with your second fix, you're skirting the problem here. As he said, Bay is someone he hasn't really even recognized over the past couple of years. Bay is a very small part of the team who has not been playing in enough events to even be seeing the potential you say is unseen. So why am I removing him before I replace my two main players when he is not even really a part of the big problem here? Bay competed in one, maybe two events this year. I think one qualifier or one friendly round and one normal event when all five were in the Hubolino race. And that's really it. So what can you tell from him to be the problem? I don't think that's your fix either. Your third fix is a little bit more reasonable, replace Shore and Ocean. But to wipe out half a team and replace it there also can lead to some bad chemistry between the players and some difficult times. Is that probably the best fix? Yes. But that's a very difficult one to make as an organization. So then you have to think about how you're going to go about replacing your team and improving it. Maybe you want to give them another year of practice or maybe one by one replace.
Not to mention Ocean's the captain, so that's kind of a big change to make.
Wait, who's the captain, you said?
Like captains were also a thing that was introduced this year, and Ocean is the current captain of the Oceanics.
Yeah, so then you're saying to me replace the captain, which that often is sometimes the answer.
But their name is literally the same in their team's name. I feel like if maybe that's implying that Ocean founded the Oceanics team. So that'd be kind of a huge spin in the face, taking out the person who possibly founded the team out of the team.
Exactly, and this is a confusing topic because now you're getting into who really controls these Marble Olympics teams.
Right?
Does Ocean? Does some outside entity? That's unclear too. And that's your best fix, but not all at once. Do that over a couple of years. Give them another chance and replace them one by one. Then you can start to build a new team. If you're telling me to wipe out my whole team off of 1 year, well, then you're making a decision that could actually be to your detriment in the future, especially if you're an Oceanics fan. I assume you are. You wrote a 5-minute essay on it, which was very good. So I appreciate that. But I feel like these fixes are a little bit... They're sensible, but they're not necessarily the fixes that need to be made at the moment.
Right. So you think maybe we should move on to the next topic?
Yeah, absolutely. I would not mind that.
So I guess
Blind again for writing in on that.
Right. So the Hubolino Marble, the Hubolino Maze, I wasn't aware that it was very controversial, but that this is also kind of an event where labeling a marble would be very hard to do. They're just everywhere, but I kind of liked how it wasn't until so at 9:59, if you notice, the Oceanics actually got pushed off the track. There's actually a back piece of the track that's not covered, and so you can actually get pushed off the track, which I found was kind of interesting. So it's a more crazy event, and that's also I kind of like it more for that too. Just how I like the dirt race, not as much of course, but having that chaos and uncertainty could make an event very interesting and engaging. But it seems that based on the comment that you sent to me, it was not the same for everybody.
And what do you mean by pushed off the back of the track? You mean in the starting block?
So at 9:59 at the 5 section, the Oceanics the Oceanics came down with us, and the Savage Speeders and the Pinkies and the 3 Hazers all came into that one spot at the same time, and because of that, the Oceanics team
are you
got
talking
pushed
about
off.
the one slot that has that little upward slope, and then the one ball bearing is there?
No, it's there's places of the the Hubalino brick in the middle of the track where there's no track on it at all.
Oh.
You can get it's like at literally at 9:59, you'll see there's in the middle of the screen. There's an Oceanics who got pushed off the track.
After saying 9:59 5 times to me, I'm actually going to go to 9:59. But yeah, and if you look at this picture that I'll probably put in Discord, the one person comments least favorite event of all Marble Olympics, and the other person comments for sure the best event in all the Marble Olympics. So obviously, along with what Commander Loft is saying, we have some controversy over the goodness, the excitingness, the favoritism of this event. And actually, I'm interested, Commander, what do you think? Is this event you really like or really do not like?
Honestly, I'm surprised that this is the one that got the controversy. Like it seems like such a MEV a MEV event, and like overall like again, it's chaotic, and I do like that, but like it's so unstructured that it's kind of like I feel like it's something that like I would like to know why they didn't like the event, because for me it's just a middle of the road event. Like it's not anything special. Like we've seen this event in the Hubalino tournament before, and so it's something that I'm used to, and I like. And it was interesting to see it brought into the Marble Olympics, but for me, it's not really something to get upset about. I suppose like it's like I'm not sure why it was controversial. I never imagined that this would be like. If anything, the dirt race is probably the one that's maybe more controversial with.
Oh, for me, it was absolutely one of the more controversial. I'm really bouncing back and forth on whether I want it out or if I want it in right now.
Yeah, but so maybe that overshadowed this one ultimately in the end. But like, I was not aware. Like, I would like to hear the arguments from the Marvel community of why they did liked or didn't like this event.
Yeah, I know too, because I feel what you were saying, how this is like a passing over type event. Like I'm like, okay, Jubilee Maze race. I'm already kind of wondering what the next one is. Now I know it's not the best way to approach that, but it just doesn't seem like the kind of race that either way that I would comment best or worst event in the comments. I mean, it was just there. It's a part of the Marble Olympics. You have to be able to get through a maze, and you have to be able to have your agility and work as a team. That's just
and keep in mind, the comments said in all of Marble Olympics. It didn't say Marble Olympics 2019. Maybe that's what they meant, but the way it's worded, we have to assume that they meant literally every event in Marble Olympics history. This is the worst one. And like that seems like a huge leap to me.
Oh yeah, and then the other person saying this is the best one. This is for sure not the best one.
This is like middle of the road, like for me, like at best. Like I'm personally still looking forward to water-based events, and like I've seen, because I'm a patron, I have seen like a preview of what surfing might be like, but I think it's still being refined. So if they can get it really working, I think surfing will become at least a popular one for people.
I am looking for this point in the video you're discussing.
Literally at 9:59, and like beneath the Marble Olympics banner next to the track, you'll see there's the blue marble right there. It's in the green hole.
I just saw it. Yeah, it's incredible. He got pushed right backwards in.
Yep.
Big chaos. A lot of jostling for position. It almost seems like a bunch of people trying to get to their plane, which they're late for all at one time.
Yeah, everybody's just like trying to rush down, and it's like inevitably. I think there was probably a few more times that marbles got pushed off, but I don't think I've ever seen this happen before.
Right, and this is another example for me. Something I didn't. One of the few things I did not like about the dirt race was the high amount of DNFs. This is also a race with a high amount of DNFs, right?
Although it's not really a DNF, you still get you get points for how far away from the finish.
Right, but they're making points assuming there's going to be DNFs. I mean, like, I don't like that. I don't like that in Marble Olympics, and I know that because, like, it's not definite. It's not like putting points down in, like, I don't know, what, I'm trying to think of a specific event. You know, the ones where, damn, I can't think of a specific one. But like archery, where like they would shoot out and they would try to hit on a specific colored block, which point, where you know that there's going to be marbles that will make it different distances than others. But this one is kind of like almost a guess, like, oh, we think not all the marbles are going to finish, and most likely that's the case, but we don't really know. We're just going to put points down and count them up. It seems a little disorganized in the event for me. It also looks a little disorganized. I can see why people wouldn't like it. I think the chaos, again, also makes people excited, similar to the dirt race. But to me, it's not a completely fleshed out event. They also shown this one differently in past years, showing a thing where the point is to finish, and then they would just count the DNS at the end, like in the dirt race. So I don't really know on this one, to be honest.
And the events like this are in the way of what you kind of mentioned over what you wanted about how like you wanted to know which marble was which. Like in events like the relay race, because there's 4 certain sections, you can like label like, okay, so this marble's at this section, so you know like who did which. You can tell which marble did which section well and which didn't. But in an event like this, because they're all jumbled around, there is no way you could possibly label a marble like, oh, this marble did this, and without like a new distinguishing feature added to the marble. It's like so events like this like do get in the way of that potentially happening, and that's definitely something that they got to think about. Like if that's something they want to do someday, events like this either need to not happen at all, or they need to find a way to mark individual marbles better so that you can identify them after the race is over. Because there's no way even if you put a mark on it, because they're moving so fast, there's no way you could tell during the event who is who.
Right, and actually to what you just said, I've actually really just thought of something that would be really good, and they need to do, and I think they're probably going to do over a few years. But because Marble Olympics is increasingly getting popular, increasing in the amount of rules that go to it because it's becoming a more professional event, what they should be doing, and this would be a professional and sometimes probably a very difficult fix to make, but they need to first of all mark the marbles right now so they know who the different marble players are. Then once they have them marked, then they should, or it would be nice if they had a little like arrow and then like name over each marble. So like in the relay race, like you just said, I would be able to see which marble is doing which leg of that race. I know you said it in the opposite way, that like that was an easier one to see. But that more is a 5-meter sprint where there's one marble racing in one place and you know which one it is because it tells you beforehand. But I want to know which marble's reaching each leg and each time. So if there was an arrow over it with a name, it's just kind of like a small kind of faded one, but one you can definitely see, that would be a professional improvement they could make to their videos. Now that's a hard one.
Yeah, that's not easy. Like when I picked my marble for my character in the stands, they mentioned that they would mark it and mark it out and make sure to remember to keep it for future events. And like this marble is special. And like that's also why I took so long to pick my marble. It's like I like this color marble, but then I realized that there were several marbles of the exact same color and design, and that's why I picked the marble I did because it was unique and so it would stand out.
Oh yeah, I like.
But and that's why I want to know so I knew that would be easy to mark down, but I wondered how did Gel actually mark down which marble was which during the first year? Is he been for instance on Team Momo, did he know does he know which marble was which in the beginning? And is it possible that maybe because some of these marbles are the same, is it possible that maybe he mixed up some of the marbles? Like a marble that used to be a fan in the stands is now actually the marble with who we call, say, Momo on the track, possibly.
Oh man!
Nowadays, probably not. He's probably back then because it was definitely not as big. Maybe he didn't think about that, and so he just.
I'm sure 2016 that was probably the case. Now I'm not sure how focused they were on that situation. Now that it's becoming a point where people are talking about that kind of stuff, I've seen it being talked about in the Discord and in other places, and now obviously here on the MSW podcast. But they got to start making that change. Now, I think your best guess on what they do at the moment is they probably have 4 or 5 marbles set aside as the team marbles, and then all the fan ones at the best.
Yeah, that's probably what
they've
probably been doing that for a few years. Yeah, that's probably what they've been doing for the past few years, I'd say. But I'm willing to bet that they don't. And maybe Gel probably does, but probably no one else knows. This gray swirly marble is was it hazy? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
And this one is the other one. Like I forgot I don't know the hazers' names.
I don't know. You picked a very bad team.
Hazy is one of the names. Hazy is one of the names. Hazy, like which one's hazy, which one's foggy? Like, there's no way to know because
hazy, foggy.
Like,
I don't even know.
like even if Gel does know, and he does actually make sure to mark who is who, and therefore he knows like which marble to pick for this individual events. No one else really will probably pick up on that. Like there are small differences with each marble. But because the distance from the camera I don't think anybody else, unless they're in person, could identify each individual marble.
They're going to be hard to identify.
Oh, and the pinkies and the snowballs, there's no way. There's physically no way to do it. They're literally solid colors.
You're absolutely 100% right there.
Holy crap! I just realized that.
And how are they doing that? We know they're not.
Yeah, look at the image. The pinkies are literally just a solid pink, shiny color.
Rangers, biggest team. Rangers.
Rangers.
I know that out of the couple hundred that listen to this podcast, at least 75 of you are Rangers fans. Why don't you start making some comments now here, Gel? Because right now you are very excited about Kinawin from the Rangers. Well, every marble could have been Kinawin over the last couple of years. So let's be careful here. And I think this is one change where there's a lot of possible changes, but Gel is doing an amazing job with what he's doing. But this is one change that needs to be addressed. Because if I really love, and because you know what? You know why? Because if I'm really getting the Marble Olympics, and now it's really more popular, not only are people going to pick teams, but they're going to then pick specific marbles in those teams that they really love. They're like team players that they're like, okay, this one always performs. I love this marble. This one did really well in this specific event. This is my favorite marble. And if you want to assign names, well, then I need to know that marble is the same every time it has that name.
So I'm looking at the Rangers wiki page here. They have like the picture from the 2016 Marble Olympics where they like lined up. Like maybe it's just the camera angle, but something like look a little bit shinier than the others. But also, if you look at the picture, some of them look smaller than the others. I think this is probably just an effect of the lens or something. But some of these marbles look slightly different in size.
Right.
So maybe that's a factor. But at the same time, like on the one hand, that makes it easier to identify. But then
I can't tell that during a race.
But then actually looking at the Rangers, they might have I think this probably a distorted image in it that's causing the swirl. But I'm pretty sure they are solid colors. But
I think they are. It might be thing. But there needs to be a definite thing on that. I actually think what they should do, at least in the next couple of years, because they might let it roll like this for one more year or so, but they need to do a thing where they revamp the whole team situation. Sorry, give me a sec. I'll have to edit that out. I have to deal with something real quick. But they need to do a thing where they edit the whole team situation. They need to redo the teams. They need to redo the names. They need to make it a fan vote thing. They need to be like, okay, write in with team names. We're going to pick definite ones. We're going to mark the marbles. We're going to do something where it's more obvious. Actually, what you could do, I've been kind of thinking about it, you could even make regulated color stripes. So at least color coded. Even like stripes with the names on it, maybe. But that would be really hard because now you would be changing the marble. They
wouldn't look the same. Like so, you could put like a red, green, and blue and stripe on each marble, so like you identify who is who. But that also would ruin the aesthetic. And like so the pinkies would no longer just be pink; they would be pink and green, or pink and red, and pink and yellow.
So there's an aesthetic and a performance problem to that.
So it's a trade-off there. Like, do you care enough about the role playing to really want to know each individual team member, or do you only care enough about the role playing to the point where you want to know how the team as a whole are doing?
A lot of people care enough to know the team member. That's why there needs to be a consensus on this. You could put a dot with the name on it, or a dot with a different color, and then have a key, a master key saying, okay, the blue dot pinky is pinky toe or something, whatever.
Okay, a dot is better than a whole stripe, I'd say. But
right, but then you could call it a uniform, but you have to do that right. You can't get a sticker and put it on because the
'Cause then that-
sphere will change the size, weight, shape of the marble.
And it'll cause friction. It'll wear away, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and you have to get look almost like a semi-permanent tattoo for the marble. I can't believe I just said that, but but
Marble
something
tattoos.
that like marks it will stay there. It won't affect the performance, but it's almost like a uniform and a marking for the marble. That is a difficult topic and will be hard for all the different colors, but it's something that should be addressed in the off season one of these times.
Yeah. So maybe we should move on to that. So let's see. You mentioned like the Plinko event. It was deleted from this year.
Oh yeah, that was deleted from the list. By the way, jump in on that really quick. There is a decent showing usage of a Plinko board in a fan-made Marble Olympics by the Lucky Titan. He's a YouTube channel, and he used it for his qualifiers and main event. So go check that out. It's a really well-made Plinko board. Discussion on how the best used one can be in a different episode, maybe even with him on here. But it was really cool to see that. So definitely go check that out on the Lucky Titans channel. Anyway, back to you, Mr. Waff.
But yeah, so I was just like, I didn't know that like the Plinko event had been removed. Like I forgot that that was on the list. But I think like maybe it's better. Like if they're going to replace it with a water event, I'd definitely be all for that. Absolutely, because like one of them was already the triathlon was turned to a biathlon because of
which
weather.
Then proceeded to have no water except for all the water that gets on you when you finish, which was very fun finishing place.
So I think if they did that in order to put a water event in place of the Plinko event, then I'm totally for that. Like I think a water event would be more exciting than Plinko, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. And no, and yeah. But the reason they took the Plinko event out, if people are wondering, is because they said it was too luck-based, and so we couldn't have that in a skill-based Marble Olympic setting. We have to take it out.
Okay. I think there would... I'm pretty sure if we looked back, there would be some... Like the dirt race, you could even make an argument to say that there was a bit of luck to that a little bit. But I'm pretty sure if you look back, there are certain events that were definitely luck based in the past.
Now, here's where I'm at on this, because there are so many different ways to view that statement. There are people who will sit there and say, "Well, the whole Marble Olympics is luck based because
like getting out,
depending on how far you want to come out of the world." So there's people who say that. There's people who are going to say to you, well, there are other luck-based events because think about balancing. Because the marbles, it's not like a speed or an agility thing. It's kind of luck the way they're all going to come out and roll. So, I mean, to be honest, the way I view it, there have been other luck-based events. Like curling is 100% luck-based because you come down that thing, the marble comes down. And if you come out of the real deep role-playing world of the Marble Olympics, you're really, the marble could take any bounce anywhere, and it could come out at any speed, and it's about as regulated as a Plinko event.
Right, and like on the one hand, I think the Plinko is probably the most luck-based event out of everyone that's ever happened. So I can see why that's just going too far for them, and I can see that because like part of the reason why I enjoy the role playing is like I can actually see it's close, like there's actually skill there, but. Like, at the same time, also in a luck-based event, those like last-minute finishes could also happen. Like so, it's like a marble gets stuck at the top and he's like struggling getting down, but then suddenly he starts flying through the course of the Plinko board, and so like, you can still get those tense moments. But I can see why the Plinko board is more luck-based and but like honestly, Plinko events were never my favorite in marble videos, so I'm not too upset over it being replaced. Especially if a more interesting and unique event replaces it.
Yeah, this is where I come in with a little bit of disagreement on that. And we will start to have to wrap it up in a couple of minutes here. But
right,
I'm actually for it. I got to be honest. I mean, the way Lucky Titan did it was not exactly how I envisioned it. I think it should be flat on the ground, and then one end is tilted up like slightly, like a few inches higher. Then the marbles drop in. I mean, this is how I would do it. And this is probably could be tweaked to make it more professional. But how I would do it is either you put them all on a starting block, not like all like different like same, like not one behind the other, but all next to each other, and you have them like kind of funnel in or file into a one by something, or like even not, you can just have them file into the Plinko. They come down into the Plinko, they go down into that Plinko, they Plinko around. However, if you don't know Plinko, we had to talk about this in a recent episode, how to describe what a Plinko is. It's kind of like there's a bunch of like pegs and you bounce off of them back and forth. I mean, just look it up.
Yeah.
and
it's better to look it up.
Bottom, but I wouldn't have them come out to the bottom and finish. I would have them come out to the bottom into either one or a series of funnels where it could kind of like maybe one funnel. I don't know, because that's a difficult way to think about it.
But
maybe one funnel to kind of like decrease the luck-based stratifying of the marbles and make it a little bit less luck-based, but then kind of like make it like, okay, so your goal is to get down into that funnel as quickly as you can through the Plinko, so that it makes it a little more skill-based and a little bit more skill-based at the end, as opposed to being luck all the way down and then the end is right there. But I think it would be an amazing event. It'd be so unique. It'd be so cool. And the Lucky Titan, I think, had something good there in mind when he brought that event into his fan-made Marble Olympics.
Yeah, I think it's honestly obviously, but like I didn't know about it coming into this, and like I don't really have too much of a big opinion on the Plinko. Like if you want to have it in, sure, like, but if not, like honestly, I'd probably be preferred. But I think that's all I can really say on it. So let's try and go through like the last things that you wanted to talk about. So you want to talk about Fubeka, the Marble Mentory, and then Marbles for Autism as well. Like those are the last two things I don't think we've actually really discussed yet.
Right, that's true. And a few of these are just announcements at this point because we are running a little long. So like I said before, Marbles for Autism channel by John Ball is doing a Marble Olympic style tournament called the World Marble Tournament. It's been pretty well made so far. The hockey event looks so good. Please go check it out. We probably will bring you more content on that when he comes on and guests, and we work out that recording and just keep in waiting for that. And definitely go check out his channel. Marble Fubeka, what I really wanted to just mention about them is that we will be covering them in more detail as we do the Marble Olympics when the Marble Olympics is over. So they're going to be, because they're like doing really good. They get 100,000 at least viewers in their things. They have a lot of subscribers. They're going to get attention because they're very professionally made. I don't want to challenge Gel here, but they're getting up there as far as quality as well. I do have a couple criticisms against them, but I think we will be discussing them. I just want you to realize that they're not going unnoticed. It's just the Marble Olympics is the biggest event in marble sport.
Yeah, like as much as I enjoy some of the other stuff, like I've only recently gotten to Fubeka because of MSPN's coverage, like making it more interesting.
Yeah, definitely they have.
And like I really enjoyed MSPN's Marble Mayhem, but like that doesn't like but that I think I'm not sure if I like it more than the Marble Olympics. Like they both have their own aspects to them, but because the Marble Mayhem is on a hiatus right now, for how long we aren't fully sure just yet. But so like Marble for me right now, the Marble Olympics are really what I'm kind of focused on as well. Like,
yeah, it's been taken up.
I haven't seen the World Marble Tournament, but if it's good, I'll check it out and see if I enjoy it. Like,
right, yeah, it's pretty well made, and with the end games and Marble Mayhem will be covered as well, by the way, because there's some creative things going on there. So don't worry, there will be other marble sports on here. Marble Olympics does take priority though. The MSP and Marble Mentary is really interesting. I hope I can go into it more. There's only really a sneak peek out there. We'll definitely have an episode on it when it comes out. But they're doing like a Marble Mentary documentary equals Marble Mentary, by the way. And comeback teams. It's going to be very good. I can't wait for it. I didn't jump at the chance to get a voiceover spot in that, but
you'll get to hear.
I'll voice over the whole thing in an episode. So
you'll get to hear my voice roll. I do one line, and it's ridiculously silly. It's silly, but I love it.
Everyone better listen to it.
Like I voiced Rango, the coach of the Rangers, just like so you look forward to that. It's ridiculous. It's so silly, and I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it as well. I can't wait to hear Commander Lawson is one line. But
it's great.
The only other thing we probably don't have time for today is the power rankings by Ray Antonio. The only thing I'm going to shout out about that is please stop putting the Hazers as the top team. Please, I don't know where you're seeing that, but they're not. So please stop.
And look at the now that we have the charts here. Hazers is literally the middle, near the middle of the pack. The only one who's like at base middle is Snowballs, who's right below them. The Hazers, they have a lot of good medals, and to be fair to them, they've only had one Marble Olympics to compete, and that's why they have a lower point value than some of the other teams. But right now, like looking at their after the dirt race, let's see here, they are
after their gold in event 10, they weren't even in the top 5 for the other 4 events around it.
Sure, they are in third place right now, so I think they might perform well. Like they're tied with the Savage Speeders and Midnight Wisps for total gold.
I know, but
they have the second highest.
Number 1 at the moment. They performed terribly in event 9.
So is Random Antonio
haven't done well in event 11? If you do power rankings on weekly performance, they're not really number 1. They are up there. I'm not knocking them. I might even pick them in the next round of fantasy because they've been doing well. Just they're not number 1. And I definitely want to get into the power rankings more, but we don't have a lot of time today. The other thing I have to say is the Oceanics, at least the Pinkies should not be placed as low as they were placed. They were placed like last. And the Oceanics, with their recent performance, should have been a little bit higher as well. But besides those things, the power rankings are great. If you want to see them, he puts them all over the Marble Base and MSWP Discord, so you can check them out there. But, I mean, we do have to wrap it up. So any closing thoughts about the Marble Olympics or Marble Sports?
Actually, if you don't know this, but Antonio actually posted when we started recording that he's just going to post the rankings without saying anything about the teams now, so... I don't know if does that mean did he post a more recent one about the dirt race?
I haven't seen one.
It's on the Discord, so I wouldn't know.
All right, but any last words for our listeners tonight?
Not really anything, honestly. This one, while the dirt race was definitely exciting, I don't think I had as you probably could tell, but just by the amount of time this podcast went on compared to the last one. I didn't have as much to talk about this time because I already introduced myself and my history of marbles, and while I did, the dirt race was definitely exciting. I think that the whole Midnight Wisps controversy had more to talk about.
Oh, absolutely, and you know what? Trust me, we could go on with topics all night here, so don't worry about that.
The rafting and elimination race are the next 2 events. Rafting's coming out tomorrow when we're recording this, so. I'm looking forward to rafting because I personally love the bobsled. I like having those little vehicles for Marvel, so I'm looking forward to rafting. Elimination race sounds interesting. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but
yeah, I'm very interested in that as well.
I'm super looking forward to surfing because I want to see how they manage. Again, I've seen a clip from the Patreon, but I want to see. I think it's still in its testing phases. I don't think it's really gotten to where they want it to be just yet.
All right, then. So, final question to end on. Who's going to win the rafting? Throw up an answer.
Oh, shoot. Who's going to win the rafting? Okay. So...
Throw out a guess there.
You know what? Screw it. The Oceanics.
The Oceanics, I was going to say them too.
Screw it. They're going.
Roll Oceanics.
If you go by stats, I would still go with the Raspberry Racers just because they've been super.
I would go with the Green Ducks if I rolled by actual good decision. But you know what? We're going to ask the MSWP. We're going to roll Oceanics for who's going to win the rafting. It's going to be already out, so we're going to see how wrong we are.
Yeah, so the MSWP, the host and the co-host here. I guess are we going to go for Oceanics together?
Oceanics, yes.
Yes, let's do it.
They lose. But they're
not in my picks. I hope honestly, I hope it would be better if my picks beat them for the fantasy league. But again, I've already started late. That the chances of me winning it are probably not that high to begin with. So if I can get the Oceanics to win the first water event, I would be just so happy. It's it'd be so great.
Yeah. So I guess we'll roll with that and see what happens. But anyway, guys, we're gonna go to the outro song today. It's gonna be. Event Horizon by X-Truller, a great dubstep that I like to listen to. So we're going to roll through that. And it was great to have you on again in Commander Waffle. I definitely can't wait to hear from you more later in the Marble Sports world. And we'll see you guys next week then.
All right. Later, guys.
Later.